Billy Zane. The moment Billy Zane walked into the Titanic screen, Hollywood found its perfect villain and never looked for another version of him again. Cal Hockley was rich, cruel, elegant, and unforgettable. Billy didn't just play the role, he burned it into pop culture. The problem? The fire never went out. After Titanic, every sharp suit, every raised eyebrow, every confident smirk screamed Cal. Casting directors saw it, audiences felt it. Even when Billy played heroes, the shadow followed him. He wasn't failing auditions, he was losing battles against memory. Ironically, his performance was too good. Light humor? Billy once joked that playing villains is easy because people already assume you're one. But here's the darker truth. Titanic didn't make Billy Zane a bad guy. It made him a permanent one. Fame locked the door behind him. Danny Nucci, Jack's friend. That's how the world remembers Danny Nucci, and that's the trap. Fabrizio was warm, loyal, funny, and tragic. He wasn't just a side character, he was emotional glue. The audience loved him instantly, and then they never let him leave the ship. Danny kept working after Titanic. TV shows, supporting roles, consistent acting. On paper, it's a successful career. In reality, every interview, every fan interaction circles back to one question. Were you Fabrizio? Danny once laughed that he died in Titanic but never stopped living in its shadow. That's the irony. Titanic didn't end his career. It froze public memory at one moment of heartbreak. No matter what he did later, the audience already decided who he was. And once the audience decides, escaping becomes harder than surviving the iceberg. David Warner. David Warner had a legendary career long before Titanic. Shakespeare, sci-fi, horror. He had ranged most actors dream of. And yet, for millions, he became that man with the gun on Titanic. Spicer Lovejoy was cold, silent, relentless. He didn't shout, he hunted, and that calm cruelty stuck. After Titanic, Warner continued acting brilliantly, but public conversation narrowed. Interviews referenced Titanic first. Articles highlighted Lovejoy before decades of theater excellence. Light humor? Warner once joked that villains age better because audiences remember them longer. True, but memory can be a cage. Titanic didn't erase his achievements. It simply overshadowed them. When one role becomes the shortcut to explain your entire career, nuance disappears. Warner wasn't trapped by failure. He was trapped by effectiveness. He played the villain so perfectly that history refused to see anything else. Jonathan Hyde. Jonathan Hyde didn't play a monster. He played a human under pressure. J. Bruce Ismay remains one of Titanic's most controversial figures, and Hyde's performance shaped public perception for a generation. The problem, once an audience associates you with cowardice, even fictionalized cowardice, it sticks. Hyde continued acting in major films and theater, yet Titanic followed him like a footnote that refused to shrink. Light humor? He once said, "No one thanks you for playing history's most disliked executive." Titanic made his face synonymous with moral failure, regardless of context. That's the trap. Hyde wasn't punished by Hollywood. He was simplified by it. When a single role defines how people judge you rather than admire you, escape becomes nearly impossible. Titanic didn't sink his career. It permanently labeled it. Bernard Hill. Bernard Hill played authority figures who carried the weight of destiny and paid the price. As Captain Smith, he embodied calm leadership in the face of inevitable disaster. The performance was dignified, tragic, and deeply human. After Titanic, Hill continued with powerful roles, most famously in The Lord of the Rings. But here's the trap. He became the man who leads and loses everything. Two iconic disasters. Light humor? Fans joked he dies beautifully in movies, but the pattern locked his image. Titanic didn't destroy his career, it narrowed its perception. Audiences didn't see Bernard Hill, they saw doomed leadership. Sometimes success doesn't limit opportunities, it limits imagination. And once imagination shrinks, even the strongest performances struggle to redefine you. Victor Garber. Victor Garber's Thomas Andrews was compassion personified, calm, intelligent, selfless. Many viewers still cite him as Titanic's moral center. That's the trap. When you play decency too convincingly, it becomes your identity. Garber went on to huge success in television and Broadway. Yet Titanic remains the emotional reference point. Light humor? He once joked that people trust him instantly because he once explained a sinking ship gently. Titanic didn't hurt his career. It crystallized his image. Garber became the man who explains tragedy calmly. A gift, yes, but also a ceiling. When empathy becomes your brand, escaping expectation becomes harder than delivering it. Owens-Sarno. Some roles are so powerful, they end careers before they begin. Owens-Sarno was a child actor whose single Titanic scene broke hearts worldwide. The little girl dancing below deck, moments before tragedy, unforgettable. After Titanic, Alex chose to leave acting, yet public memory never moved on. Light humor? She once said people apologize to her about Titanic even now. That's the trap. One scene, one moment, immortalized forever. Titanic didn't give her a career. It gave her an emotional legacy she didn't choose. And sometimes, the heaviest fame is the kind you never asked for. Susie Amos. Susie Amos didn't just act in Titanic, she framed the story. As Lizzie Calvert, she connected past and present. After Titanic, she quietly stepped away from acting. Public memory didn't follow her career, it froze her in that film. Light humor? She later married James Cameron, making Titanic both her biggest role and her last major one. That irony alone traps perception. Susie wasn't forgotten, she was archived. Titanic became the bookmark people never moved past. When one role closes a chapter so perfectly, audiences rarely ask what came next. Ioan Gruffudd has had a successful, varied career. Yet Titanic remains his Hollywood origin story. Every profile mentions it. Every introduction circles back. Light humor? He once joked that sinking ships make great resumes. Titanic didn't limit his talent. It anchored public perception. No matter how many roles he played, Titanic stayed in the headline. When your breakthrough becomes your reference point forever, growth feels invisible. Gruffudd escaped the ship, but not the association. Jason Barry. Jason Barry was young, charismatic, and promising. Titanic should have launched him into superstardom. Instead, it became his defining credit. After the film, his career continued, but never escaped that early peak. Light humor? He once said Titanic aged his resume faster than time. That's the trap. When your biggest moment comes too early, everything after feels smaller, even when it isn't. Titanic didn't destroy Jason Barry's career. It simply set a bar so high that public memory refused to lower it. Titanic didn't fail these actors. It succeeded too completely. And sometimes, the hardest thing to escape is success itself. Which Titanic actor do you think was trapped the most and why?